Hey, hope everyone out there is having a happy holiday season.
But more important than that, we hope everyone is having a happy Spider-Man No Way Home week, because that's what it is right now.
And we should all celebrate the film by wearing some gear from sponsor cufflinks.com that'll set off everyone's Spidey fashion sense.
Right, we were lucky enough to receive their Spider-Man 3-pack sock set, and not only are they comfortable and durable, not only does the sock set come with black, gray, and blue pairs of socks in cool Marvel packaging, but when I wear these socks, I can literally walk on walls.
What? That's right. Can you legally say that?
Probably.
Well, the Spider-Man socks may not make you, the listeners, walk on walls, but you will be able to save 15% off any purchase when you buy from cufflinks.com this month and use the code DUEL15. That's DUEL15 at checkout. That's like a superpower, right?
Yeah, and don't forget, we're giving away a Spider-Man chevron red-black men's tie to one lucky listener who visits dynamicduel.com/Spider-Man, chooses what they think is the coolest Spider-Man product they have, then shares it on Twitter using the Twitter share button on the product page. Just be sure to @cufflinks.com and dynamic_duel, and we'll put your name in the running. You have until the end of Spider-Man No Way Home's release date, December 17th, to participate, and we'll announce the tie winner in our next episode.
Yeah, guys, don't pass this opportunity up.
Also, I'm literally recording this from my ceiling as we speak.
I'm pretty sure that's a lie, but our deal is not. So take advantage of it right now at cufflinks.com. On with the show. Hi, welcome to the Dynamic Duel Podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
And in this episode, in preparation for the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out this week, we are doing a duel episode between Spider-Man's villain, Kraven the Hunter, and the DC hero, Vixen. Both of these characters are animal-based. Vixen can channel the power of any animal on the planet, and Kraven can hunt any animal on the planet. So we thought it was a pretty interesting matchup.
Yeah, Kraven the Hunter is actually one of the original members of the Sinister Six, which is a supervillain team that goes up against Spider-Man. It's likely that the Spider-Man No Way Home movie will feature the Sinister Six, though we're not sure yet whether or not that will include Kraven the Hunter, even though Kraven has been cast in Aaron Taylor Johnson for a solo movie that's going to come out next year or in a few years.
Yeah, I don't know much about him. I'm pretty excited to learn more about him. Should he make a surprise cameo in the movie this week? But we'll learn more about him later on in the episode. Before that, we're going to break down the news items from the past week. And you could tell it's a slow news week because we're talking about video game trailers.
Not that we hate video games, we just don't play them. Except for Fortnite, which has Marvel and DC skins. If you guys play, you should use the support a creator code, DUEL.
Yeah, that's DUEL. Pretty simple. But the trailers we'll be talking about this week are the Wonder Woman official game announcement teaser and the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Flash and Burn official gameplay trailer. Neither of us own a PS4 or 5 or Xbox Series One X, SX, XXL,
one of those
whatever
things.
It's called. But we're going to talk about these games based off of the trailers alone. As always, we list our segment times in our episode description, so feel free to check out the show notes if you want to skip ahead to a particular topic.
And just a reminder, guys, this podcast is currently running a fundraiser that will be donating to the Healthwell Foundation, which is a leading nonprofit dedicated to improving access to care for America's underinsured. The fundraiser ends on December 25th, so if you guys could find it within your heart to give between now and Christmas Day, please do so by visiting us on our Facebook page, which is linked in our show notes, and giving there. You could give on Facebook or Instagram. But Jonathan and I will randomly select 2 donors, and we'll award them a Dynamic Duel card game.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how much. It could be $1, it could be $20. If you give anything, you're in the running for that prize.
We want you guys to donate so much that we have put all of our archived episodes up for the listening public, so you guys can listen to all of our duels and reviews this month for free, and we ask that you please just donate on Facebook or Instagram. But with that out of the way,
quick to the no prize.
A no prize is an award Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the dynamic Duel no prize, is a digital award we post on social media that Jonathan personally draws for those who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week. Last week's question was, which Spider-Man or Spider-Woman character is your favorite in the Spider-Verse, and why? We got quite a few answers. Let's run down the honorable mentions, as well as the no prize winner.
Our first honorable mention goes to Miggy Methangian, who said,
Hey guys, this is Miggy, and my favorite Spider-Man is Miles Morales. I just really like the diversity and representation he brings, and I find him more relatable because of that. Also, he feels more relatable to me because he feels more like your average guy than Peter Parker. Like, he's smart, but he's not like a science prodigy or anything.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone was ever doubting the appeal of Miles Morales, they just had to watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Or, read the comic books. He's such a compelling character in any media.
and he has cooler powers than Peter Parker, with invisibility and electricity hands.
They're called Venom Blasts. No relation to the character of Venom, though.
Yeah, it's just confusing.
Great answer, Miggy. Our next honorable mention goes to John Starosky, who said,
Hey guys, John Starosky. I don't know the entire list of spider people out there, but one of my favorite ones that I've ever heard of has to be Spiders Man, the being made of millions of tiny little spiders dressed up as Peter Parker, believing they are in fact a sentient version of Peter Parker. I would love to see that in the Spider-Verse. That would be amazing.
That would be creepy as hell. But yeah, there is an alternate universe version of Spider-Man who is composed of thousands of tiny spiders that all have the collective consciousness of Peter Parker.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't like spiders. If I see a spider in my house, I'm not gonna try and kill it. I'm gonna leave the room. So to hear that there's a Spider-Man made up of a million of these things gives me the heebie-jeebies. And if we do see it on screen in the animated film, I'm just gonna be glad that it's animated. Because if they did a live action version of that, I'm sure I'll be feeling spiders on me for the next week after I see it.
Don't you feel that way when you watch The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield and how he gets his powers with all those spiders dropping on him?
No, actually, I've never seen The Amazing Spider-Man. The costume was just too horrible. I couldn't watch it.
Well, one day we're going to review it, so you'll see it then. Great answer, John Starosky. Our next honorable mention goes to Brandon Estergaard, who said,
Hey guys, my favorite Spider-Man has to be Spider-Man Noir from Spider-Verse, because everywhere he goes, the wind follows, and the wind smells like rain. Best freaking intro in the whole movie.
That was a great intro in the Into the Spider-Verse movie, of course delivered by Nicolas Cage, who's the only one qualified to deliver a line that batty and that cool.
Yeah, I'm still surprised that they got Nick Cage for that role. Spider-Man Noir is definitely one of my personal favorite Spider-Man.
And he was done a little bit differently in the movie, but he's just a badass regardless. Definitely one of the coolest versions of Spider-Man. Great answer, Brandon Estergaard. We want to give a quick shout out to DC Joe for taking the time to visit the website and record his answer. But the winner of this week's No Prize goes to Marquis High, who said,
Hello, Johnny DC and Marvelous Joe. It's your pal here, Marquis High, coming in from Long Island. Just wanted to lean on into that radio voice and put my bid in for my favorite non-Peter Parker Spider-Man. I'd have to go with Doc Ock, the superior Spider-Man. He's shown the most room to grow, and he's also just a little bit of a snarky jerk, and we love those anti-heroes. The fact that Spider-Man blasts someone.
Oh no, that awesome radio voice got cut off at the end there, but really love his answer of the superior Spider-Man, who of course is Otto Octavius, Dr. Octopus. If you don't know much about the superior Spider-Man storyline, definitely listen to our Mr. Freeze versus Dr. Octopus episode, where you can learn more about it. Basically, Dr. Octopus takes over Peter Parker's body and tries to prove himself as the better hero. It's a really well-written story.
And his Spider-Man is just really cool.
Yeah, he incorporated a lot of cool elements into the Spider-Man arsenal that were never used before.
Yeah, the aesthetic of Superior Spider-Man is what I wish Spider-Man normally looked like. It's just a really cool costume.
I think it would be cool if there was a version of Olivia Octavius becoming a version of Superior Spider-Man in the Across the Spider-Verse movie, because she was such a fantastic character as Dr. Octopus in the Into the Spider-Verse movie.
Honestly, I would be surprised if we even saw her in Across the Spider-Verse.
Well, Liv did create the device to transport between dimensions, so who knows?
Oh, you're right.
But we'll find out when Across the Spider-Verse comes out in 2022. Congrats again to Marquee High for winning this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want a shot at winning your own No Prize, stay tuned to later on this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week. And now that that's done,
on to the news. Okay, last week during the Game Awards, which is a celebration of the video games that came out within the past year, there was a surprise announcement teaser for a Wonder Woman video game. There's not much to the teaser. It's really just Wonder Woman waving around her lasso in like a dark room or something like that. But the design of the character looks really, really cool. It's like they took some of the best parts from the movie costume and made it a little bit more like historically accurate, I would say. It has shoulder straps, you know, a little bit more practical. There's also a voiceover from Queen Hippolyta during the teaser that basically says, you know, you're my daughter, it's time for you to come home and help us fight this new threat that's come to our island. Which makes it seem like the gameplay takes place on the island of Themyscira, which is incredible.
Yeah, the voiceover by Hippolyta sounds like Connie Nielsen, the actress who plays her from the movies, which makes me wonder if this video game is going to tie into the films, like a movie-based video game, and utilize some of the movie cast.
It definitely wasn't Connie Nielsen who was delivering the lines, but it's definitely inspired by her voice. I think the game's going to take the same approach. I don't think it's set in the movie universe, but I think it's going to be heavily inspired by the look of it, evidently from Wonder Woman's outfit, at least. And honestly, I love Themyscira in the movies. I love the designs of all the characters and the architecture and everything. If I could explore all of that in a game, I will buy a PlayStation 5. I'm just putting that out there. That will make me buy a PlayStation 5. What really intrigues me about this, though, is that the makers of the game, Warner Brothers Games and Monolith, have made a game before that I really liked, which was Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. Now, I never played the full game. I played it at like GameStop and I watched all the trailers for it and stuff like that. It was really cool. The gameplay reminded me a lot of the Batman Arkham games, which has like a perfect free flow combat system. I could see this Wonder Woman game being like Shadow of Mordor and like God of War mixed into one, just pure badassery.
I think the perfect Wonder Woman video game would be exactly like God of War, like this hack and slash type genre game.
Hells yeah.
And then you're like battling Medusa, who's like as big as a giant, like how she was in Wonder Woman Bloodlines.
That would be cool. That would be really cool. I want to be able to like ride a Pegasus in this game. I want to be able to like battle like Circe and Ares and Medusa and all these cool badass mythical figures. It's about time Wonder Woman got her own game. It seems like she would translate perfectly into a video game, considering she's like one of the closest characters DC has to like Link from Zelda or something like that, you know?
Yeah, but also maybe she has a level that's kind of like Star Fox, where she's in her invisible jet and is like on rails and she's shooting Andross.
That'd be cool. Except instead of Andross, it's like Darkseid or something.
There you go. That'd be cool.
I can't wait to learn more about this game. I hope I'm not getting overhyped for it. I think it has a ton of potential, and I can't wait to learn more. It just gets me excited that DC is going to start making video games about other characters besides Batman. As cool as those games are, having a Wonder Woman game, and a Superman game, and a Green Lantern game, those would all be amazing. And that brings us to our question of the week. If you could make a video game based on any Marvel or DC character that hasn't had their own solo game yet, who would it be and why?
Looking forward to a lot of interesting answers for this one. If you guys have enough time to describe some of the gameplay as you envision it, we'd love to hear that as well. Record your answer at dynamicduel.com by clicking on the red microphone button in the bottom right-hand corner, which will prompt you to leave us a voicemail. Your message can be up to 30 seconds long, and don't forget to leave your name in case we include you on the podcast. We'll pick your favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to social media. Be sure to answer before December 17th. That's a Friday.
In other DC video game news, the new Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League official gameplay trailer was also released during the Game Awards, and this is really the first time we're getting a solid look at what the gameplay is going to be like. It just looks like pure chaos, but also pure fun.
It looks like a freaking blast.
Yeah.
Every single character has their own method of playing. Harley Quinn's actually looks especially fun, even though she's like the non-powered character of the group.
Yeah, she gets to swing around the city. It's kind of like Spider-Man if he had guns.
Right, yeah, her gimmick is her grapple gun, basically.
Right, Deadshot, he gets to fly around on a jetpack and shoot things. King Shark is like the Hulk. He just like bounds around the city, like almost swimming after a fashion, just like slamming down on bad guys with like his rail gun. And Captain Boomerang looks like he's all about speed, just like moving quickly through his environment. It looks like he even can like teleport. That's an interesting way to like depict speed. It looks like it's just going to be really fun. We've talked about a lot of the trailers for this game ever since it was first announced, and all of them have been like really funny as well. This one is no different. I love the way they introduced the Flash with like Captain Boomerang talking about how the Flash is just like the mascot for the Justice League, and then they just get their asses kicked by him. Deadshot can't even shoot him. Flash is like, oh, did you get him? Seriously, why don't you just mail me the bullet?
That was great. That was really good.
I really hope that they do trailers for like each member of the Justice League. You know, we've seen what Superman looks like. We've seen what the Flash looks like. I want to see what all of them look like.
Yeah, it looks like each member is going to be like the boss for a level-based structure.
Yeah, I think the game primarily takes place in Metropolis, and I'm really curious to see where else they go or if they just stay in that city.
The concept of heroes being portrayed as villains, in this case because they've been taken over by Brainiac, is always novel because you can make the heroes way more badass and lethal than they ever could be as the good guys. There's a freedom that comes with villainy, and it's cool to see the Flash, who's normally this goody two-shoes, as like this smart-ass douche.
Yeah, I want to see how they're going to portray like characters like Aquaman, you know, if they're going to be making fun of him, and Batman, because I guess this takes place in the same universe as the Arkham game, but in the Arkham games, Batman's dead, so we'll see what they do with him.
Oh, so the Gotham Knights game also takes place within this universe.
Yeah, the 4 characters that are in the Gotham Knights game are sort of like carrying on the mantle of the Batman after he's gone. That's the storyline.
Are they all made by the same developer?
No, Suicide Squad is made by Rocksteady. Arkham Knights game is made by Warner Brothers Montreal, which also made Batman Arkham Origins.
I had no idea that Warner Brothers was setting up a shared video game universe.
Yeah, with the Suicide Squad game, they definitely are. And is the Wonder Woman game in that same universe? Not sure yet. We really won't know until 2022 when this game comes out. It's going to be on PC, PlayStation 5, and the Xbox Series X/S.
I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. These games look like they're going to be awesome. I just love that DC seems to be crushing video games right now. I hear so many complaints about the Avengers video game by Square Enix, and it just tickles my fancy every time.
Well, I mean, Marvel has good video game stuff out and coming out. Like their Guardians of the Galaxy game just won Best Narrative at the Video Game Awards.
That's true. I totally forgot about that.
And coming up, you know, there's Midnight Suns, the Wolverine game, Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac. So yeah, I mean, we got stuff coming out for sure.
I need to look up the price of a PlayStation 5 real quick.
I think that does it for all the news for this episode. Let's go ahead and hear from one of our sponsors, HBO Max.
Bruce Wayne may appear to be a wealthy playboy, but beneath his facade, his true identity is that of the Batman, waging an endless war against crime. Join the Caped Crusader in Batman, The Audio Adventures, the first scripted audio original featuring Batman and his villainous rogues gallery in a world premiere story of life and death in Gotham City, debuting exclusively on HBO Max. Starring Jeffrey Wright as Batman and a who's who of incredible Saturday Night Live alums, this rollicking adventure, told across 10 episodes, is written and directed by Emmy winner Dennis McNicholas, includes devilishly delightful original music by Doug Bossy, and performances by Rosario Dawson, John Leguizamo, Chris Parnell, Melissa Villaseñor, Seth Meyers, Jason Sudeikis, Brooke Shields, Fred Armisen, and many, many more. Go to hbomax.com/Batman Audio Adventures for more and stream Batman, The Audio Adventures only on HBO Max. Thanks to HBO Max for sponsoring this episode. Now let's move on to the main event where we pit DC's animal hero, Vixen, against Spider-Man's villain, Kraven the Hunter. Okay, Vixen versus Kraven.
We've been planning on doing a Kraven the Hunter episode for quite a while now because he's definitely one of Spider-Man's most prominent and interesting villains. Like, they keep trying to squeeze him into a movie, and we're not sure if he's going to appear in the No Way Home film, but considering he's a member of the original Sinister Six and the fact that he's been cast for his upcoming solo film, it is a possibility. So we thought it would be interesting to include his Duel episode now.
Yeah, and trying to determine a opponent for him, we figured that Kraven, he's an animal hunter. He could hunt any animal. He's the best hunter. So we figured we'd pit him up against one of DC's animal-based heroes, of which there's quite a few. Animal Man, Beast Boy, though we've already used him in a duel, and Vixen. We thought she would actually be a really good matchup for Kraven, considering, in part, the fact that she's from Africa, and he's a big game hunter in Africa. He even wears, the lion head vest, which is pretty fucked up if you think about it.
But he respects his trophy kills, he's not going to let that lion go to waste. He's going to wear it on his body.
I guess. I never quite saw him as a noble figure, but I could be wrong. Again, I don't know much about him, but we're going to learn more about him shortly. If you've never listened to one of our Duel episodes before, the way we determine a winner between these two characters is by running 1,000 Monte Carlo simulations using their statistics. Now, a Monte Carlo simulation is a probabilistic model used to determine outcomes through random sampling.
And in our case, it randomizes statistics along a normal distribution, which is a bell curve, as a way to simulate the many variables that can occur during battle. The stat parameters we use are based on the official Marvel Power Grid, and we use that criteria to extrapolate the DC character stats. We've included some additional stat categories of our own, such as range, damage potential, versatility, and perception, in order to create a more complete and robust simulation.
Running these 1,000 simulations gives us a percentage of wins for each character, and we declare the one with the higher percentage to be the ultimate victor, considering that they're more likely to win any given battle. No character ever wins 100% of the time. Comics have shown that there's always a way for Batman to defeat Superman. We feel our method falls in line with the precedents that have been established in the comic book stories.
And we use this method because it was the least subjective, most unbiased way to determine who would win. Of course, we are both heavily biased toward our respective allegiances, and instead of debating these matches forever, we just let the math decide for us. So there's no fan votes here, and no relying on just feats.
Before we run the simulations, though, we like to break down each character's histories and abilities before improvising a scenario on how we imagine one of the 1,000 simulations we run would play out beat for beat. And I think it's my turn to go first with the DC character's backstory, so let me tell you all about Vixen. Long, long ago, back when man and animal spoke the same language, a legendary Ghana warrior named Tantu asked the African trickster god Anansi the Spider for a totem that would grant its bearer all the powers of the animal kingdom as long as they used the power to protect the innocent. Anansi answered Tantu's prayer, and Tantu became Africa's first legendary superhuman protector. The Tantu totem was passed down his family line and eventually inherited by the Reverend Richard Jiwe, who lived in the Machanga province of the African nation of Zambezi. Richard had rejected his role as protector to instead serve as his village's priest, until his wife Jean was killed by poachers, leaving him to raise their newborn daughter, Mari, alone. Using the Tantu totem, Reverend Richard sought to bring peace to his nation, eventually drawing the attention and jealousy of his half-brother, the General Mustafa Maksai. When Mari was a teenager, General Maksai killed her father Richard, taking the Tantu totem for himself. Fearing for her life, Mari fled Zambezi and eventually made her way to America, where she changed her last name to McCabe to protect her identity. Settling in New York City, Mari's beauty was noticed by a modeling agency, and she became a successful fashion model. Gaining international recognition, Mari traveled the world modeling, eventually even returning to her home nation of Zambezi, during which time she snuck off and stole the Tantu totem from her uncle. Despite having no initial intention of using the totem as a hero or protector, Mari nevertheless found herself using the totem to help Superman stop a group of poachers while they were both in India. Inspired, Mari took up the codename Vixen and applied for membership to the newly reformed Detroit-based Justice League led by Aquaman, which you can learn more about in our Justice League vs. Avengers episode. Due to her high-profile nature as a Justice League superhero, Mari was tracked down by General Maksai, who kidnapped Mari's friend and threatened to kill her if Mari did not return the Tantu totem to him. Mari gave him back the totem, which only transformed him into a raging beast, since he used it not to protect innocents, but for his own selfish desire for power. General Maksai attacked Mari, who managed to kill him, avenging her father and reclaiming her birthright as the totem's bearer. Vixen's membership with the Justice League was short-lived, as the team was disbanded when its members Vibe and Steel died in battle. You can learn more about Steel in our Commander Steel vs. Captain America episode. Mari returned to her modeling career until a Caribbean photo shoot turned violent and her entire photography crew were killed by drug smugglers. Wanting justice for her colleagues, Mari turned to the government, who realized they needed to bring down the dangerous drug kingpin known as Cujo. The task was given to Amanda Waller's Suicide Squad, who you can learn more about in our Suicide Squad vs. Defenders episode. Joining the squad on their mission, Vixen helped bring down the drug operation, but in the process was overwhelmed by her animal instincts and accidentally killed Cujo. Horrified by her actions, Vixen joined the Suicide Squad as penance, eventually forming a romantic relationship with its field leader, Bronze Tiger, who you can learn more about in our Bronze Tiger vs. White Tiger episode. After a 1-year hiatus of the team, however, Vixen declined to return to the squad as she wasn't comfortable seeing her teammates die, and Bronze Tiger's psychological issues made him ill-suited for a continued relationship. After focusing on launching her own fashion line, Vixen occasionally participated in helping other teams on their missions, including Checkmate and the Birds of Prey, the latter of whom she brought down a cult with that was brainwashing superheroes. As a brief member of the Ultramarine Corps, she was mind-controlled along with her teammates by Gorilla Grodd into attacking the Justice League, though they helped free her of Grodd's control. You can learn more about Grodd in our Gorilla Grodd vs. Psylocke episode. After rejoining the Justice League as a reserve member, Vixen was tricked by a now intelligent version of the brutish zombie, Solomon Grundy, into a battle, allowing Grundy to steal her tattoo totem, which he gave to the power-mimicking android Amazo. Without the totem, Vixen learned that she was still able to access animal powers, but only of those within a 150-foot range of her. Despite the League defeating Grundy and Amazo and returning Vixen's totem to her, Vixen realized that her powers had now been altered. Over time, she realized that the only animal power she was able to mimic was that of the human animal, though her range was still limited. This allowed her to access the powers of her superhuman teammates, at the expense of depowering them. She kept this revelation to herself for a time, as she had recently been made a full-fledged member of the League, though she eventually confessed what had been going on and she was removed from the team. Vixen went to Zatanna for help, who was unable to correct the totem's power, but did receive a vision of Vixen and Animal Man as puppets. When Vixen visited Animal Man, who was also having problems with his animal powers, they were both sucked inside the tattoo totem along with the Justice League, where they became trapped in Anansi's web, learning that the Trickster God was the one responsible for their power defects. Vixen managed to escape and gather help to fight Anansi, but Anansi proved to be too powerful. When Vixen threatened to destroy the totem, which would kill Anansi, herself, and everyone else inside, Anansi relented, revealing the entire situation was a test for Vixen to see if she was prepared for the upcoming final crisis. He restored her and Animal Man's power and set the other superheroes free. No longer a League member, Vixen decided to return to her home village in Zambezi, only to learn that a man named Kwesi, the poacher responsible for her mother's death, had taken over many of Zambezi's villages. When Vixen confronted Kwesi, he attacked her with powers similar to hers, only more potent, and she was poisoned in the battle. She eventually discovered that Kwesi was funded by Intergang and that his powers were derived from apocalyptic technology. With the help of the Justice League, she was able to bring down Kwesi and drive Intergang out of her country. Afterward, she and the Justice League helped stop Darkseid's universal takeover once he got the anti-life equation during the Final Crisis event. You can learn more about that in our Darkseid vs. Thanos episode. In post-Flashpoint continuity, the tattoo totem actually belonged to Mari's mother, and when her father tried to give it to her on the anniversary of her mother's death, the Reverend Richard Jiwe was shot and killed by his half-brother General Maksai, who wanted the totem for himself. Mari fled with the totem this time, though she wasn't able to harness its power until she was an adult, by that time already a successful fashion designer, model, and animal rights activist. She had grown up on the streets as a child, and after finding success, she was heavily involved in youth outreach. She first donned the Tantu totem in an effort to protect homeless children and their families from a trafficker known as Spider-Bite. Becoming a superhero, Vixen would later join the Justice League International, Justice League of America, and Global Guardians. Powers and abilities-wise, Vixen is able to naturally tap into the planet's morphogenic field, also known as the Red, in order to harness the abilities of any animal within her proximity. The ability comes with her exposure to an ancient fox or cat head-shaped amulet known as the Tantu Totem, which she initially wore on a decorative belt, but now wears on a tribal necklace. The totem amplifies her innate power, extending the range of her animal mimicry abilities to the entire planet, and even enhancing those abilities. For example, taking the strength of a rhinoceros beetle and making it proportionate to her size, or taking the regenerative abilities of a flatworm and increasing the speed at which it regenerates. While wearing the totem, the spirit of the animal which she's accessing the abilities from manifests around her in the form of an intangible projection of light. On occasion, however, this light projection will act as a solid energy construct whenever she's accessing an ability with a physical body part that she does not have, such as wings, a tail, claws, or a turtle shell. Her abilities are wide-ranging, but generally, she has enhanced senses, can lift up to about 50 tons, is super durable, can fly, has super speed, and has a slashing strike. That's Vixen.
So let me get this straight. So she can harness the strength of a rhinoceros beetle if the beetle were the size of an adult woman.
Yes.
But if she harnesses the power of a rhinoceros, it's only a rhinoceros that's as big as an adult woman. The power of a small rhinoceros.
No. She's channeling the full force of a fully fledged rhinoceros.
So why is it proportionate for a rhinoceros beetle, but not for a rhinoceros?
Because of the Tantu totem. If she doesn't have the totem, she could only channel the strength of an actual rhinoceros beetle, which is a lot less than she can naturally hold. But because she's able to amplify that with the totem, she's actually able to make it proportionate to her own size. She doesn't need to do that for everything. If she needs charging strength, I think a regular-sized rhino is powerful enough.
So she can't amplify the strength of a regular-sized rhino?
No, like a normal-sized rhino is already more powerful than her naturally. So, it doesn't work that way.
It's weird. Just admit it's weird.
It's awesome. And you're fucking going down.
No, I'm not. There's no way that Parasite is going to be Kraven the Hunter, and let me tell you why, by getting into his backstory. In the early 20th century, Sergei Kravenov was born to Nikolai and Anna Kravenov, two Russian aristocrats. He was raised in Volgograd, Russia, but his family fled to the United States in 1917 during the time of the Russian Revolution. Young and bitter about his lost nobility, Sergei vented his frustration through the sport of hunting. He was naturally gifted, working his way up to big game and traveling the world, gaining international notoriety and earning the nickname Kraven the Hunter. Despite his killing of animals, he lived by a code of honor regarding his quarry, making sure his hunts were fair and refusing to poach. Eventually, he became skilled and strong enough to take down prey with his bare hands. In his journeys, Kraven met a Haitian voodoo priestess named Calypso, and the two became lovers. She gifted him an herbal potion that granted him longevity and the enhanced vitality of the animal kingdom. He spent decades using his new strength to further hone his hunting and fighting skills, though over time became bored with the ease of killing wild beasts. With his half-brother Dmitry Smirdyakov, a master of disguise also known as the Chameleon, Kraven shared his listlessness and desire to prove that he was the greatest hunter in the world by killing the most dangerous game, man. They figured that the most worthy man to hunt was the hero who was both part man and part arachnid, Spider-Man, whom you can learn more about in our Blue Beetle vs. Spider-Man Duel episode. The pair ambushed Spider-Man in Central Park, but the hero proved to be too resourceful for Kraven. Realizing he underestimated his prey, Kraven tried to escape the fight but got stuck in Spider-Man's own trap, a giant spider web. He was captured by authorities and he and his brother were deported from the country. Disgraced, Kraven felt the only way to restore his reputation and honor was to continue the hunt and kill Spider-Man. He changed up his strategy upon his return to New York and determined that overwhelming Spider-Man in numbers would increase his chance of success. Kraven joined with Dr. Octopus, Mysterio, Electro, Sandman, and Vulture to form the supervillain team, the Sinister Six. His and the others' pride got the better of them though, and none wanted to give the others the glory of defeating their enemy Spider-Man. They chose to put Spider-Man through a gauntlet where they would each attack him one by one, the spoils going to the victor. Kraven went second in the challenges where he attacked Spider-Man with a pair of trained leopards, though the big cats got caught in Spider-Man's webbing and Spider-Man went on his way. You can learn more about the other members of the Sinister Six in our Mr. Freeze vs. Dr. Octopus and Flash vs. Electro episodes. In Kraven's next attempt on Spider-Man, he manipulated the villains Rhino, the Lizard, and the Vulture into attacking Spider-Man to weaken him before the hunt. However, Kraven mistracked Spidey's scent and nearly killed Harry Osborn, who at the time was wearing his roommate Peter Parker's aftershave. Kraven then attempted to restore his honor by conquering the Savage Land, a jungle in Antarctica where dinosaurs still roamed, but he was stopped by the hero Kazar. He then later clashed with the Avenger Tigra when he tried to increase his neural response time by kidnapping a scientist who developed a psychometer response procedure. Frustrated by his constant losses and driven nearly to insanity, Kraven planned his last hunt. He tracked his foe Spider-Man and drugged the hero one night as he was out web-swinging. With his prey paralyzed and defeated, Kraven shot Spider-Man in the face with a rifle, put him in a coffin, and buried him. Having finally defeated his enemy, Kraven donned Spider-Man's costume and waged a vigilante campaign across New York City, culminating in 15 men sent to the hospital, 1 dead, and the defeat of one of Spider-Man's villains called Vermin. In just 2 weeks' time, Kraven struck terror into the hearts of the city's underworld as the new Spider-Man. But then, the real hero Peter Parker crawled out from his grave and realized that he was merely shot with a tranquilizer. He then found Kraven, who explained that not only had he finally proved himself as the world's greatest hunter by defeating Spider-Man, he had also proved himself to be superior to the hero.
Oh, you have another superior Spider-Man situation.
Yeah, he's kind of like the original superior Spider-Man.
Interesting.
Convinced that his honor had been restored, Kraven then put a shotgun in his mouth and took his own life while looking at a family photo from his childhood.
Damn.
It turned out that he left behind a wife, 2 sons, and a daughter who sought vengeance against Spider-Man by attempting to kill him in an occult ritual that would resurrect Kraven. Though they were seemingly successful being hunters themselves, they mistakenly killed a clone of Peter Parker's named Kane. Kraven was brought back to life, but since the ritual was performed with, quote, corrupted blood, his soul came back cursed and tainted, now unable to die unless by the hands of Spider-Man. Furious, he whisked his family away to the Savage Land, where he told them they would have to survive being hunted by him to deserve the family name.
Damn.
When Kraven's wife Sasha objected, he snapped her neck. He also killed his son Vladimir and had his daughter Anna hunt his remaining son Alyosha. Kraven visited his old physician to find a way to end his curse, though the doctor only agreed to do so if Kraven hunted down Black Panther. T'Challa managed to evade Kraven long enough to convince him that the doctor had lied to him. Kraven then tracked and subdued the Hulk using dozens of adamantium fishhooks to try and convince the monster to get Spider-Man to kill him, to which Hulk ended up punching Kraven out of the city. Eventually, Kraven found Kane, who had been resurrected by his creator, the Jackal. He attacked the clone in an effort to end the curse, and Kane struck Kraven in the chest, stopping his heart. However, using the same move, Kane brought Kraven back to life, supposedly ending his curse and restoring his mortality and some of his humanity. After a brief stint of hunting Atlantean beasts underwater using diving equipment, he was captured by a fellow hunter named Sugarbaker. He teamed with fellow captives Howard the Duck and Squirrel Girl to take down Sugarbaker, finding a new life inspiration and resolving to become a hunter of hunters. He traveled back to the Savage Land where he began taking down dinosaur poachers, and he later killed poachers across the world. To this end, he teamed up with the villain Arcade to trap hunters in Central Park with a group of animal-themed supervillains. To this end, he figured the hunters would learn the true dangers of the hunt, and the supervillains would learn to honor their animal identities. He also threw Spider-Man in the trap for good measure. Spidey, however, saved the participants, causing Kraven to embrace the hero's nobility and ideals. He again donned Spider-Man's costume and became his own sort of arachnid hero. Kraven eventually died in battle against a clone of his who took on his mantle of Kraven the Hunter. Powers-wise, Kraven has enhanced physicals granted by a mysterious herbal potion. This includes enhanced strength like a gorilla, able to lift 2 tons, speed like a cheetah up to 60 miles per hour, durability like a rhino, agility like a fox, senses like a wolf, and longevity. Kraven is the world's greatest hunter with a superior strategic mind and expertise of tracking, trapping, and killing. He's skilled in hand-to-hand combat and is particularly adept in exploiting his medical knowledge of human and animal pressure points, nerve centers, and circulatory systems. Kraven brings a variety of weapons to battle, such as spears, blow darts, knives, net launchers, and bear traps. He typically steers away from firearms, preferring his hunts to be more even-handed. Kraven wears a lion's head vest, which houses nerve gas emitters that can paralyze his enemies. And that's Kraven.
I didn't mention this, but Vixen is a good fighter. I forgot to mention that she's an experienced fighter.
Oh yeah, you're just bringing this up now?
Just letting you know, man.
What training did she receive in modeling school?
This was actually when she was a young girl in Africa.
Why are you saying that like that's a made-up thing?
I'm not saying it like it's a made-up thing, because it's not a made-up thing.
Actually, my character has been fighting since childhood. I didn't mention that, but I thought you should know now.
But she also trained with Bronze Tiger, too, her lover.
I'll allow that. Okay, that makes sense.
There you go.
But now that we got Vixen's and Kraven's histories and abilities out of the way, let's speculate on how one of the 1,000 simulated matches will go. The winner is determined by simulations, not this speculation, but it's fun to imagine how this fight could play out.
Now, we don't set any rules for this match, other than the characters don't know anything about each other going in, except that the other character is a threat that needs to be put down. And we say they start off about 50 meters apart in an environment that has no bearing on the match itself, because we don't take stats for the environment.
Plus, certain characters have advantages in some environments over others, and we want these characters to win on their own merit. So let's get into it. Vixen and Kraven meet on the battlefield. Who goes first? Well, I'm going to say that because Kraven likes to vet and see his quarry in action before he acts, so he knows how to approach the hunt, I'm going to say that it's actually Vixen that goes first.
No, totally. Like, she's just going to spot Raven's lion head vest, having none of that shit, right? So she's going to start off by channeling the power of a cheetah, and she's just going to dash toward Kraven at like 70 miles an hour.
Well, Kraven is going to watch Vixen sprint at him from 50 yards away, and he's going to see her cheetah-like aura, because it's visible, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to remind him of all the times he spent straight up murdering cheetahs with his bare hands. So as she's approaching, he's going to pull out his knife and get into a defensive stance. And right as she's about to hit him, he's going to leap to the side while getting her into a chokehold. And he's going to slam her to the ground and just slit her throat, just like how he would do a cheetah.
Wrong. Because once her head is in that hold, she's going to channel the spirit of an electric eel, which not only allows her to slither out of his grasp, but also shocks the shit out of him.
Well, Kraven, it's not often that he hunts big game prey that has powers of electrokinesis. So not only is he physically shocked, he's also mentally shocked at what just happened.
That's right. And as he's stunned, Vixen's then going to channel the strength and claws of a polar bear and just knock Kraven across the battlefield like a rag doll. Polar bears are like the strongest bears on the planet. So yeah, Kraven got it good.
But Kraven has the durability of a polar bear. So
what?
He's fine. He's going to roll out of the attack, not too injured, and he's going to brandish this blowgun. And as soon as Vixen even sees it, it's too late. She already has a dart in her neck. And she starts feeling like numb and dizzy from his poison that he just shot her with.
That's a good move. So Vixen, she's going to recognize that the poison is an animal poison. She's going to quickly cycle through a few poisonous animals like jellyfish, rattlesnake, blowfish, before she realizes it's from a poisoned dart frog, all right? So because she's immune to it, she's not affected by the poison, and then she's just going to leap at him like the frog, which has a poisonous touch, right? And she poisons his ass instead.
Well, if it is a poison dart frog poison, like you say, Kraven has antidotes to all his poisons. So she touches him, he gets poisoned, but Kraven just knocks Vixen back and quickly injects himself with the antidote. And then he's going to brandish this collapsible spear, and it's going to telescope open, and he's going to swing it at Vixen, slashing her right in the thigh, specifically in that big femoral artery.
Yeah.
And she's going to lose blood so quickly. And he's going to spin around with a spear, and he's going to pierce her right through her rib cage into one of her lungs, collapsing.
Dang.
Like a badass.
Okay, while she's skewered, though, Vixen's just going to look Kraven, right in the eyes, and then she's gonna squirt blood from her eye like a short-horned lizard right into his eyes, blinding him just long enough.
That's gross.
She's gonna channel an octopus and harness its camouflage and healing abilities.
So he has blood in his eyes?
Yep.
Is it venomous or something?
No, I don't think so. It's just blood. I did do some research on animals prior to this, so I have some stuff in my arsenal. That was one of them.
Why'd you go with the grossest thing?
It's like one of the few animals that have like projectiles. I needed some ranged attacks, so.
Well, Kraven's just gonna wipe this gross-ass blood from his eyes, and he's gonna lick it, recognizing the animal.
It's human blood.
And he's gonna go, oh, that's human blood. And like he can't see Vixen because she's camouflaged, but he's gonna sniff the air to track the scent that she just supplied him with. So he knows exactly where she is through the smell of her blood. And while she's hidden, he's gonna pull out and swing this weighted metal net that he throws and ensnares Vixen with as she's healing.
A net?
Yeah.
You fool! An octopus can squeeze out of a hole like much smaller than itself. So like Vixen, she's just gonna slip out of that shit. And then she's gonna like turn around, bend over, and fire out her own spiderweb net from her ass. That's actually, the webbing is actually proportionately stronger than steel. And then she's gonna leap into the air and just start swinging around the environment from her ass webs.
Kraven doesn't even know what to say. Like, he probably thought he saw it all, but then he saw this and he's like, holy shit. But he's caught in the web, so he's gonna start knifing his way out of it.
Okay, but before he could even get close to getting out of that web snare, Vixen's gonna swing high into the air and then channel Peregrine Falcon that dive bombs Kraven at super speed. These things are the fastest animals on the planet, like 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, but they only reach that velocity from diving from high enough to reach that speed through gravity.
She flew up that high.
But as she starts her dive, Kraven emits this paralyzing toxin from the gas emitters in his vest that just fill the space in front of him. So Vixen flies right into that and becomes paralyzed from the gas, and she crashes into the floor. And then Kraven's job is easy. He just finishes cutting his way out of the webbing, unstraps a big-ass elephant gun from his back, just walk up to her, and click, clack, boom! Vixen's dead.
Now, as Kraven was cutting away his webbing, though, and by the time he walks up to her, Vixen will have already cycled through animals with paralytic venoms, right? And she's gonna figure out that it's from a wasp. So, synthesizing the chemicals as her own neurotoxin, she's gonna overcome the paralysis and then channel the spirit of a rainbow mantis shrimp. And while she's on the ground and he gets close to her, she's just gonna punch his leg clean off. And then once he falls to the floor, she's gonna follow up with another punch, like right to his head, just turning it into a red mist. He's dead.
But you're assuming that the neurotoxin that Kraven used was animal-based. It wasn't. It was laboratory chemical-based. So Vixen gets shot with the elephant gun.
Yeah, it was laboratory-based chemicals harnessed from animals in cages and shit.
No. It was all synthetic. It was all synthetic.
No.
All right, we'll pause there. Either the neurotoxin that Kraven used was synthetic and Vixen can't replicate it and get out of it and she gets shot in the face, or Kraven did get it from a wasp and she does channel the mantis shrimp and she punches his head off, right?
Yeah, those mantis shrimps, no joke, they'll punch faster than bullets.
Proportionately.
No, I think actually faster than a bullet.
Oh, holy shit. Well, let's input the stats, run the simulations, and find out who wins. We'll be right back. If I learned anything from this matchup, it's that 1, the animal kingdom is really damn gross. Splitting blood and shooting webs from their ass and shit.
That's right.
And the second thing I learned is that Vixen is also really gross.
I'm pretty sure I've done some stuff in this matchup that she's never done in the comic, but totally should. Now, going over these stats, these characters almost cannot be more different. Like, everything Vixen excelled in, Kraven wasn't that great in, and everything Kraven excelled in, Vixen wasn't that great in. Vixen definitely had the better physicals. She could fly, so she was faster. She has, camouflage and stuff like that, so she was more evasive. She could harness animals with regenerative properties, so she was more durable. And there are many animals that are proportionately stronger than humans, so she got the edge there as well.
Yeah, that was the big key thing, proportionately. Like, Kraven the Hunter is about as strong as they come in the animal kingdom, but because Vixen can access the strength and abilities of lesser creatures and scale it upward to her size, she actually outclasses him there. But Kraven is more adept in fighting skill. He has a longer range due to his weapons like arrows and bullets. We determined he was smarter than Vixen, being one of the foremost authorities on strategic planning, hunting, killing, and medical knowledge.
Yeah, that's not to say that Vixen is dumb. It's just not her forte like him. He's much more strategic than her.
Perception and versatility, they were both pretty similar, given that they have enhanced senses and a lot of tricks up their sleeves.
So taking all of this into account, who do you think came out on top?
I actually think it might be a 50-50 split. So I don't actually know. I don't have a good guess. I want it to be Kraven the Hunter. And a lot of our followers on Instagram seem to want the same thing because 63% of them said that they think Kraven will beat Vixen.
Which is surprising, I thought, that people were rooting for a villain over a hero.
Vixen is lame. No one knows who she is.
But people know who Kraven is?
Comic book fans do, yeah.
Well, comic book fans know who Vixen is. And she was in the Justice League cartoons. She was in Legends of Tomorrow. This was actually a really surprising result for this poll.
Not for me.
Well, I got the results right here. The winner between Vixen and Kraven the Hunter is Kraven the Hunter.
Hell yeah, it is!
But, barely. This is one of the closest matches we've ever had. Surprisingly, Kraven won 502 matches out of the 1,000 simulations we ran.
So
meaning
it was
he
a
only
coin
won
toss.
50.2%. Vixen won 49.8% or 498 of the matches.
So it was a coin toss.
It was an absolute coin toss. And I don't understand how it was, because looking at this web chart of all of the different stat comparisons, Vixen scored higher in more categories, but there's a much wider gap in the stats where Kraven was ahead than there was when Vixen was ahead.
But in the web chart, the volume of the spread was essentially the same.
Yeah, that's right. I figured this matchup was pretty good. I didn't think it was going to be this equal.
I mean, yeah, it's a coin toss. Yeah, it could have gone either way. Technically, whatever character you want to win can win. But thematically, I think this makes sense just because Kraven hunts the very animals that Vixen can channel. So, yeah.
I was totally prepared to win this. I was totally prepared to be like, Beauty killed the beast. Now I don't get to use that line. Kind of sucks.
Beast killed the beauty.
Apparently.
I'll take this 50-50 split for Team Marvel. Suck on that, you DC chumps.
Fuck you. That means nothing on a 50-50 split. You can't trash talk at all.
Marvel's the best. And that'll be further solidified next week when we review the Spider-Man No Way Home movie.
How do you know this movie is going to be any good? Are your expectations in check? Check your expectations.
I don't know if it'll be great just because they haven't shown us a lot from the film, but I think it'll at least be novel and surprising. So it's got that going for it.
I'm definitely going to stay off the internet 2 days before the release for sure, because I think it releases in Europe before here.
Yeah, on the 14th, which is actually when this episode drops. But that does it for this duel. Let us know what you guys thought about the results by writing to us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com or by visiting us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can find links to all of our accounts by checking out our show notes or visiting our website, dynamicduel.com.
And please visit our Facebook or Instagram accounts specifically if you would like to donate to the charity drive we're currently running for the Healthwell Foundation. Again, any amount is fine. 'Tis the giving season, so whatever you're comfortable giving is great. Don't forget that 2 lucky donors have the chance to win a Marvel vs. DC card game of our own design. We'll send that to you guys for free.
Yeah, and everyone for free gets access to all of our backlog of episodes, all 250 plus of them. So be sure to listen through our archive throughout this month of December.
Also, don't forget that the holidays are coming up, and you can get the perfect gift for any DC or Marvel fan in your life at cufflinks.com, where if you use promo code DUEL15, that's DUEL15, at checkout, you can get 15% off your total order.
But that does it for this episode. We want to give a big thanks to our executive producers, John Speas, Ken Johnson, Jace Crump, John Starosky, Zachary Hepburn, John Bechinina, Mitchell Phipps, Dustyn Balcom, Salvador Hernandez-Contreras Jr., and Levi Yeaton for helping make this podcast possible. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Up, and away!
True believers,